Okay. Okay, thank you. Well, at this point, I'd like to just share a little bit from the scriptures, and this is very special to us for a number of reasons. One is because a lot of the ninongs and ninangs that were there. Could we show that the picture, Ija? A lot of the ninongs and ninangs who were there when we had Joshua dedicated to the Lord. I don't know if you remember that in our home. And there was a dedication, and that was Joshua when he was born. And that's Joshua when he was a little kid. He wanted to be a pastor also. And so he's praying in his pulpit. And so when we had him dedicated to God, the sponsors were there. And actually, that child dedication is a very important event. It was a momentous event because when you have your child dedicated to God, it's a commitment before God saying that we will raise this child in the way that he should go, based on Deuteronomy chapter 6, which says, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. These commandments I give you today." These commandments I give you today are to be upon your hearts. Impress them to your children. Talk about them when you are sitting down and when you walk along the road, when you lie down, when you wake up. Tie them as a symbols on your heads and on your foreheads. Write them on the doorposts of your homes and on your gates, in Deuteronomy chapter 6. So that's the command of the Lord. And basically what it's saying is that in everything you do, God should be in the center of it all. And that was a commitment that my wife and I made in front of God, but also because we had sponsors to help us make that commitment. And some of the sponsors are here, and they're Rod and Ollie Villarica are here, and then Manny and Grace Dizon are here, and of course Tintin Uy. She was Tintin Uy before, but she's now Tintin Uy Enriquez with her husband Manny. And then there's Nato also is a sponsor, and then Arlene is also a sponsor in Joshua's dedication. I think that's about it. The others are not here. But that was a commitment that we made, and that's why we invited you and your families to be here to witness, because you made a commitment before God to pray for Joshua. And because of your prayers and your encouragements, and also your encouragements to them. I know every time I would come here, they would send something for Joshua to bring home, and you never forgot your commitment to him. And so he's here in part because of you and the prayers that you've given on his behalf. As the old African saying goes, it takes a whole village to raise a child. And you are the village that we had here in the Philippines. And I have a village there in the United States that also surrounded them. And that's the reason why Joshua has the values that he has today. You know, I do a lot of premarital counseling and a lot of mentoring of young adults. In fact, Joshua and I partnered together because Joshua is our college and young adults coordinator of our church, and I'm kind of like an advisor. And I always tell them, I said, as young adults, there are two things that can potentially mess you up if you make a bad decision, but can potentially make your life so much better if you make a good decision. Two decisions in life. And so you single young adults, remember this. These two things you should make sure you make a right decision on these two things. One is your choice of a lifetime career, and the other is your choice of a lifetime partner. Those are the two things that could potentially mess you up if you make a bad choice, or potentially make your life so glorious if you make a good one. And that's why for me, seeing Joshua meet his future mate on a mission trip says a lot about their common values and says a lot about their love for God. And in life there are really no guarantees, because we're creatures who make our choices, some of them good, some of them bad, and sometimes somewhere in between. I've made good and bad decisions. I think all of us have. But it's when you are further along the journey and then you look back and you have regrets. But then there's nothing much you can do because you're looking back. But for you young people, you have a whole life ahead of you. And that's why somehow, as we share with you and encourage you and inspire you to keep looking up to the good things in life by putting your trust and faith in God, making Him number one, because if you do that, you can never go wrong. And there were many times that in life, my wife and I would have arguments, and there were many times that we would think about giving up. But we didn't, because we wanted our children to have parents that would point them and inspire them to follow God. And so, after so many years, we see the fruit of that effort to point our children to God and hopefully inspire others to follow Him as well. Because life is hard. It's not a walk in the park. And when my wife and I were starting our lives, we made a choice. And that choice is we will turn our back on many things. We already knew that we were not going to be rich. But we also made a choice to raise our children and to inspire, to follow God and to inspire others to follow God. And so that's what we've been doing. And even though we've messed up many times and we haven't done it perfectly, we're just thankful to God for His grace. And hopefully, as I share our testimony, my wife and I, our testimony as parents, and as Joshua and Christine share their testimony, we hope that we can inspire you to see God more clearly and to follow Him more dearly and to be inspired to make Him number one in your life.